posts, your stories. I just want to start it. That's all. Guess I can't get my own reminders. Oh, okay. We'll try that. In the meantime, we'll turn things off. Are we live on all of the platforms?
Crystal says yes.
Awesome. Okay, I'm trying it again.
Hi, Crystal.
Everyone needs a crystal in their lives. Edit, shares, start. Nope. Okay. Well. Okay. Cancel 33 folks. And all right. I believe I can see what needs to be seen. Good morning, everyone. We're going to even hit the record button. We're totally going to remember everything for today instead of some of it. Yep. No. Okay. All right. Yay. All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Z, also known as Dr. Zary Gross. We are here this lovely morning with our Freedom Tea Talk for the day. We are discussing productivity to procrastination, and I figured, why not have one of the experts in the field come out, good morning, on IG, come out and share what she's got going on. So to give this drum roll, we are introducing today Christine Lee, who is out in the East Coast, and this is also a fellow person in my field, clinical psychologist, who provides services to awesome folks, and I'll let her share a little bit more about those. But most importantly, the part that touched my soul immediately, aside from, oh, she's also in the field, is she is the procrastination coach. She is supporting people with being able to move from a space of being maybe not as productive as you like, or just blatantly flatlining, to being able to kick procrastination in the butt and really offer some opportunities and ways to go through it. And she definitely has a special offer that I'm going to allow her to elaborate on later as we kind of just dig a little bit more into who is this amazing person that was willing to jump on with us today. So Christine, feel free to share a little bit more about who you are, how you got to this space of this is what you do, and why it moves your heart so much.
Thanks, Zary. And good morning, everyone. Good morning, Zary. And thanks for having me on your Freedom Talk. And I'm very happy to be here. I am in New York. I'm a clinical psychologist, as Zary mentioned. I've been a psychologist for over 20 years, and I've been online for over 10 years as procrastination coach. It was an accidental area of expertise because one day, a long, long time ago, I volunteered to create a procrastination workshop. And I realized then and there that I was actually really sorely in need of these kinds of techniques and these strategies that would help protect me from wasting all my time and stressing myself out all the time, because that was my pattern way back when. And these days I feel much calmer. It's not that things don't happen and that I don't get stressed sometimes, but I lead, I think, a much healthier life because I'm not giving all my time away, and I know how to focus, and I know how to do basic planning, things that really just weren't in my wheelhouse way back when. And I think the ripple effect of knowing these basic techniques of self-structure and schedule structure, really, they pay off and they ripple far and wide. So the people that I'm living with, that I'm working with, they, I think, benefit from these things as well. I do have 2 dogs, by the way. So if you hear an occasional growl It's not a gremlin, it's a puppy. So that's me too. So I live in New York, have a lot of fun. I coach people online and over Zoom in my clinical practice as well. So I have kind of two sides of my business right now where I do the procrastination coaching, but I also do clinical work.
I appreciate that you shared so that other people can understand. Not that I'm concerned about it, but once the pandemic hit, I don't know if you were already doing virtual telehealth anyways, but once it did, the benefit and necessity and beauty and flexibility of it made life easier.
I was doing the online coaching work long before COVID hit. So I was one of the group of people who was very comfortable with Zoom already. And it was just, that was not a transition at all. And actually working from home with my clinical patients saved so many hours of my day because I would commute from Northern Westchester down to the city. So that was a good 3 hours just in getting there and back. So immediately I actually saved a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of commuting expenses. So it ended up working out pretty well for my practice.
Right. Again, there's that space of, for our practices, it became like, whew, understand the rest and the rest of us, or I should say also in that same time frame, like we may not have been okay with the fact, yes, you cannot go anywhere, but otherwise knowing you could still get help was very supportive.
Yeah. And it was great that our profession was seen as something that was like an emergency service that we were very much in need during that time. And it was a very unique experience that we were going through the same syndromes that our clients were. So that was unique, I think, in my experience, where I knew exactly how my clients were feeling in some regards. So that was interesting too.
Totally. So since my talks are about freedom and tea talks, usually I have a difference of whether I've had tea for the day or coffee. And just out of curiosity, your preference, which do you prefer?
I'm a tea person generally. Yeah. Lately, I've been slipping towards coffee, but it doesn't really suit me at all. So
Okay.
I'm going to stick with my tea. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So tea for the win for this week. I'm also wondering because I know we had an opportunity to meet in a really awesome group. So even just the fact that we're like speaking right now comes out of what, and I've spoken on it before, and I know people hear these things, and it's like, I think there's a benefit to repeating it, but collaboration with other folks in your field and other people that you may meet that may not be directly in your field, despite ours being fairly similar, offers a level of support and opportunity for growth collectively for myself, for you, just from us being able to meet in a mastermind and have the opportunity to hear similar information, see how each other ciphers that information, as well as offer opportunities that then when we come back, you're offering something that I totally want to hear more about. Because when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, did she see me? How did she know that procrastination was such a thing? And not that clearly, obviously things get done, but the level of stress and turmoil mentally, physically, emotionally that procrastination can have on people it's a lot. It does cause some folks eventually to have to reach out to a mental health professional because they've got that many years and layers of constant procrastination for whatever those fears or those challenges were that were blocking them from moving forward. And I'm just wondering what would you say if someone realizes in this moment, like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize procrastination was the problem, but they recognize in this moment, clearly that's the issue. What would be one of the things you would suggest they could just start with? That what doesn't feel too much, but it will totally help.
Well, thanks for that wonderful question. And before I give the answer, I would say that my sense is that people don't actually really seek help for procrastination. It's something that people really live with and tolerate, maybe tolerate poorly, but people, I think, don't seem to understand in a way, or they don't have the right information or understanding that procrastination is something that we can actually quite easily fix. It's not something that is a core part of you. It's not something that is fixed. And I think that's the good news. And I wanted to put that up front so that everybody really knew that. You can take that and go to the bank with that. And so if you were newly in my office, I would likely do an interview about what's stressing you out, what you're feeling stuck on, what kind of symptoms you might be having, what kind of behaviors you might be engaged in or not engaging in. And then I would probably redirect. I would probably get the person to start thinking about things that they enjoy and that they have fun doing, because procrastination has a really sneaky way of really sucking out the fun in all things, sucking the air out of the room and the fun out of our daily activities. So I tend to suggest to people, what small thing could you get accomplished in a way that you can create a very quick win without much effort? And then the other thing is, what can you do to really kind of get your mind off things so that you have like a little bit of a break from that torment of shame and embarrassment and guilt and stress and frustration and confusion. Why is this still happening? Why am I still not able to get to the finish line? I think people need support and they need a little bit of a mental break from that habit, that habit pattern.
So I've heard some people say, and maybe I might have said it myself, and I appreciate that you said, like, it's not a personality, it's not a part of you that you need to embrace. It can just be a thing that happens. So externalizing it and then allowing it to work as it works, but understand it can be different.
Yes.
People say, "Well, I work really well under pressure. That's why I wait till the last minute." What are your thoughts and observations of those types of statements or beliefs?
Generally, what I would say is that the person who's saying that has not had the opportunity or many opportunities to practice being prepared ahead of time or working in advance of the deadline. This is a very common behavior, right? That's really all that procrastination is pushing up against the deadline. I know myself, I used to push past the deadline even, and I wouldn't recommend that for anyone really. And that said, that I think people with ADD, ADHD, sometimes that really is the primary zone of best functioning. And with that, though, we can still have some room to maneuver where we could set tighter deadlines so that you are working more often, more successfully, so that you're not really leaving maybe the whole project to the last day. Maybe you're breaking it up and just kind of, in some ways, setting up the brain to function even when the rest of you might want to just run away from the project.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because the people that I most love working with are my lovely folks that either recognize or don't recognize that they have ADHD. And typically
Yes.
they're in helping professions and or like creative. So they're like always creating and doing things. And because of that, it's like, squirrel, oh gosh, I have this deadline. Let me get back to it. And then another squirrel. And it does create that cycle and the brain being rewired to only function in those types of ways. But that breaking down, if you had to pinpoint which would be more helpful, because I've seen some of your tips where you're like 5 minutes for breakfast. I was like, heck yeah, I needed that this morning, because I was about to go in there and just not eat and lay out on the floor and be like, I'm going to be so hungry. But where would you say someone might be able to get the most benefit out of taking a couple of steps back? Like, would it be in maybe like how they're eating? Would it be like in their physical health? Would it be in maybe deadlines for work or school if they happen to still be in school? Like, which areas do you feel like people can see the quickest when they choose to, of course, that also maybe has long-term impacts on other areas?
Yeah, great. I would say the biggest response I have to that is the fear runway that people feel that they need to get more and more amped up or stressed out before they begin something. I
Mhm.
believe in my heart of hearts, and I've practiced this myself hundreds of times, that we could just slice off that part of our productivity. We oftentimes think we need this long painful, stressful process of getting geared up to just start. And when you think about it, you could do it that way. There's nothing horrible about that, really. Criminal, certainly it's not. But if you just chop that part out of your work day, think about the energy that you will conserve, think about the brain space that you will protect, and think about the mood that will remain well or high or stable. Instead of putting yourself through, you're putting yourself through a mental workout to do any sort of mental labor, but then you're also adding on the emotional roller coaster. That's also something I don't recommend. I believe that when we feel well, physically, emotionally, energetically, that's when we do our best work. And so we're kind of fooling ourselves to say, I do my best work at the deadline, because you do work at the deadline because you're stressed out and this is your only option. But what if we just taught you how to kind of spread that whole system out over time? And the way we get that time is by saying that initial phase of ramping up the stress no longer has to be part of the program.
I would sign up for that. It sounds even similar, and I know this isn't directly what we're speaking of, but in regards to relationships where couples, and I guess now the term is toxic or or just minimally an unhealthy one, where there's this need or cycle of getting upset with each other, getting angry, really mad, all to move up to makeup sex, where it's like, could you imagine if you all just got to the space using kind of what you're saying and cut off the whole ramp up and the fight and the tension and the building and the stress and just said, I just really want to be close and intimate with you. And it seems like
yes,
the way we've done it was.
Yeah. We come to our relationships with lots of pattern behaviors, as you know, and those can be difficult to track, especially when there's like a really nice union between you and your partner, and your old patterns kind of fit in a really magical way, but maybe a not so helpful way. Like it's magical, but it's not the best you can actually attain for the couple. And I think those things are really interesting because we come to these things incredibly innocently. I think we come into chronic procrastination incredibly innocently. Nobody is anticipating creating a life disaster for themselves, but here we have.
But yet here we are.
Yeah. Yes. I certainly did not have that as my intention, but I did believe that I didn't have any options in it. So that in itself is a recipe for things not going so well. When you start to not know that there's so many options in the world for so many different things, not just procrastination, that's when you start feeling constrained. That's when you start feeling a little less good about things or yourself. And I just want to help people prevent that. It's simple as that.
Okay. Do you think, as I was listening to that, I was like, oh, I wonder if this also, and maybe this is your experience. I know that it was mine, but having had life experiences that move you into a space of hyper independence, that you literally have to do everything all by yourself all the time, no matter what, can like give a little springboard into procrastination, because you don't want to ask for help because that would require maybe you to be more prepared, which you're not, because and just all those things.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a chicken and egg thing. Maybe the person wasn't necessarily meant to be an independent person, but their family of origin or an early childhood experience, a later child experience gave them the message that they wouldn't be safe unless they took care of everything themselves. And that, yes, would absolutely set them up for the problem of not feeling they would be safe asking for people's help. There are lots of people in the world that we can ask for help from that are completely safe. And beyond that, they're generous, they're wise, they know all the information we don't know. They are easily on our side and easily going to be one of our protectors. And it's really, in a society that really leans on fear and stressing the danger of living, we really tend to forget there are so many givers and healers and supporters just in our everyday, at the local CVS, wherever you can look, you will find people like that. So I just want to encourage our listeners to really keep an open heart. Yes, we need to protect ourselves in certain circumstances, but for the most part, life is great. You are good. You will do well to keep an optimistic mindset and not stay too wedded to your procrastination.
Okay. Thank you for that reframe. I would love to hear how people can connect with you on the platforms, and we'll attempt to type those super fast in the chats also to be able to share, as well as what you have coming up in the future, how people can have an opportunity to work with you and get to know you a little bit better.
Well, thanks again for this wonderful chat and conversation and for reconnecting with me. Dr. Z is on my podcast. The episode is not out quite yet, but I know we had a wonderful conversation, a lot about productivity. Content was in that episode. So I invite everyone to connect with me through the podcast by giving it a listen. It's called Make Time for Success. And I interview lots of lovely guests, just like Dr. Z, each of whom has just so many golden nuggets of life wisdom to share. That's why I select the people that I do, because I feel like they have a story, they have a background story, they've made the journey, and they've really transformed what they had into something that they wanted and something that they really could really be proud of, just as Zeri has done. And the other way to stay in touch with me is I'm Procrastination Coach all over the universe. My website is procrastinationcoach.com. I'm on Instagram and TikTok very regularly. I have a thriving Facebook group, very fun, very supportive. I really want to tell you that the people that I attract are very kind, very sharp, very supported and supportive, and very motivated. We have a lot of negative societal stereotypes about who the procrastinator is. And I would say there's a part procrastinator in each of us. And that part of us is a part that got stuck. And we don't want to kind of look down on people who get stuck. I think that's kind of not the way to go. That's my philosophy. And that's how I work. And that's how I try to teach and treat myself too. As I'm teaching other people, I learn every day as well. And Zeri has mentioned this upcoming program that I have that she took a look at, and she's been kind enough to give me the space here to mention it. It's called the Power Productivity Boot Camp. I believe this may be the fourth time I'm running the boot camp. It may be the third, but it's all a blur right now. And in some ways it's a blur because it's a big event. It's a week-long event where I'm doing live trainings over certain days on different topics, including how to develop your own strategies for success. So definitely we're going to be talking about ways to block procrastination from interfering with your success, but also literally constructing the proper mindset, the proper behaviors, the proper habits to make sure the success that you want is something that you get. So it's like developing your success path. And you have the live coaching with me as part of that week in the boot camp. There's a reason we call it a boot camp. It's not going to feel like Army boot camp, but it's going to feel like a little bit of a kind
push.
of a life workout. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, and you'll people from around the world come to join. It is a free event. It is very fun for me to bring people together in this way and to see the energy over the course of the week start to just go up in a good way, right? We're not ramping up the stress, we're ramping up the productivity, but also the energy. People start to see, wow, there really are so many other ways I could think about my current situation. And that's the work I love to do. And to sign up or register for this free event, you could go to the link I made for Zeri and Zeri's community in particular. It's procrastinationcoach.com/Zeri, which is Zerri. And I'm sure Zeri will put that in some sort of note.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you again, Zeri, for allowing me to talk about it. I'm really excited for the end of March. The event starts on March 21st.
So save the date, March 21. Be prepared to start owning your success and having the opportunity to look at how you can take this opportunity to, one, have access to Dr.Z and what she has to offer, and the ways and strategies that she uses to support people in starting to own what will my success look like, without needing to worry about what does procrastination have to still do or remain, but starting to strip it away and see what's going to work for you, and asking questions because they do have access to you. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Very much a live coaching event. You're going to get a lot of information from even just the feedback that you're going to hear me giving other people. Maybe you're someone who doesn't like to speak on Zoom, come anyway, because you're going to get a lot of information from the back and forth. And I also want to say that a lot of the reason why behaviorally we stick with old patterns is because we can't see the benefit of changing. We don't quite believe it. We might fantasize about it, but we don't really envision it for ourselves, right? We don't see ourselves really activating it. And this is where coaches and psychologists and healers come in, that we lend the energy and the information so that you can make that transition that is already there. You already know procrastination isn't your best habit, but maybe you haven't figured out just what is next. And I would love to help you get there.
So I'd like to open up, if you guys are here on any other platforms, please, if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, aha moments, this will be the best time to share them, because, excuse me, you currently still have access to both of us until you do join her free boot camp. And again, it is free. All it costs is your time, which I hope you find valuable, and choosing to explore different ways to be successful as something that you would definitely like to look forward to in life, and having access to someone that supports people specifically and directly in this particular area to help move you forward in your success.
Yeah, you could definitely look at it as a time saver. You're going to invest some time, but then get like 3 times back. So it's pretty okay.
I'm here for all of that. Hence the reason I invest in coaches, the reason Christine invests in coaches, like we recognize, okay, so you have these answers. Please, may I have the answers that I may cut down on the additional 10 to 20 plus years that I keep putting into figuring it out. I will take all of all the info, please. So any questions, thoughts, concerns on any of the platforms before we get ready to close out? And I'll do a quick recap with Christine that you all won't get access to because it's just for us. But questions, thoughts, or aha moments, maybe just knowing you don't have to be stuck with procrastination, and it doesn't have to be a part of how you're described. And do understand, people that knew you before, they may not recognize those changes and transitions anyways, and that's okay, as long as you do and you own those new versions of you. All right, I'm feeling some radio silence over here, which means I'm going to take a couple of more sips of tea, and then we're going to, let you guys get on with your day, because I know you have so much to do.
And puppy is whining here, so I might have to attend to him as well.
A walk, some food, some basic needs are going to be met here shortly for folks. All right. Well, at this point, I would like to thank everyone for joining us. Please look in the chat. Also, we will have a link up on my link tree where I have what's going on most recently. The link for the boot camp will be listed there, as well as, you all know, there's always access to wait for the wait list for the Next Greater Therapist Vibes, which I don't know when that's going to drop yet. I do know, but I don't know. So that's why there's a wait list, for just in case. If you all are able to sign up for this boot camp and you do decide, yes, I totally want to work with Christine, the cool thing is I am going to offer you something to show my appreciation for being willing to sign up with me to support this program, and really for you to gain some knowledge out of it. I will be dropping what that lovely gift of appreciation will be by next week. But do understand, time is moving fast. We're at 3:02 and it's 3:21. You want to sign up soon, because I'm sure there's some awesome ramp up info that you'll be getting that will be even more supportive for you to take advantage of the week of boot camp. Hence, you will be doing some work It will not be a just, oh, I just show up and hear the lovely info and go on. You want to impact some change and have access to the free coaching. So do sign up when you see the link. Do be looking out for a special announcement for those who do sign up that will be able to gain access to another free actual appreciation for choosing you.
Thank you so much, Jerry. That's a great partnership idea, and very generous of you to help your listeners to just really live their best success path.
I mean, if you're not trying to be your greater self, what are we doing here, people? What are we doing? Again, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and cut the feeds. Christine, if you would stay on with me. I hope you all have an amazing day. And I look
Thanks,
forward to
everyone.
next week.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.